In 2017, the world discovered the tale of a lottery worker who bent the system in his favor as he was sentenced. He took millions of dollars from the lottery throughout his decade at playing the system, all through the inclusion of a few lines of computer codes that went unnoticed. Today, we're going to look at the tantalizing tale, how this thief pulled it off, this technological heist, why they went to these extreme measures, how they were caught, and what happened afterwards with further days in court. Let's get started. The year was 2010. It was December 29th as the Hot Lotto game was drawn in Iowa. The Hot Lotto is a game variation of the lottery. If a player matches 5 numbers plus the bonus number, they could win a fortune. Well, there was a winner for that draw who had won $16.5 million, only no one would come forward to collect. Iowa Lottery put out a press release that the winner will have to make their claim by December 29th, 2011 at the latest. In that state, a winner couldn't remain anonymous. They had to be publicly known as they collected their reward. Many people came forward to claim the life-changing prize. However, they couldn't match the serial number on the ticket. Some claimed they had lost the ticket or had it stolen. However, the lottery had another trick up their sleeve. They had CCTV footage of the winner purchasing the ticket on December 23, 2010 at a Quick Trip store. None of the people that claimed to be the winner matched the description of the grainy image of the man. The man seemed to be avoiding the store's cameras. He had a hood on pulled over his head and a cap on underneath. Finally, in November 2011, a man came forward with proof as he phoned Iowa Lottery. He had the correct 15-digit serial number. The man was Philip Johnston, a lawyer based in Quebec, Canada. He stated that he was unable to come in person due to illness. The lottery then asked him what he was wearing on the day he bought the ticket. He described clothing vastly different to what was on the CCTV video. Something was wrong. The lottery pressed Johnston more. Eventually, he gave in. He stated he was claiming the prize on behalf of someone else who didn't want to be identified. Due to Iowa Lottery's rules, Johnston's claim was rejected. On December 29, 2011, hours before the deadline was closed, a Des Moines law firm approached the lottery. They stated they were claiming the money on behalf of a trust. The lottery investigated. They discovered the trust's benefactor was a corporation based in Belize. Its president was Philip Johnston. The CEO of Iowa Lottery, Terry Rich, was very suspicious. As such, the Iowa Attorney General's office and the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation opened a case to find out what was going on. Johnston was questioned further on these bizarre circumstances. Eventually, he cracked. He told the authorities that he was given the ticket by Texas attorney Robert Sonfeld and that Sonfeld was given the ticket by Texas businessman Robert Rhodes. However, the authorities were unable to get anything from Sonfeld or Rhodes. For 3 years, the case went cold. The authorities had little information to work with, but they had one more card to play. They released the grainy CCTV footage to the public. They hoped that someone out there would recognize the man through his appearance or his voice as he made his purchases. The video quickly spread online. The footage was emailed to an employee of Maine Lottery by their boss. As soon as they watched the video, they recognized the voice. It belongs to a man that briefly worked at the company a few years ago. The man was at Maine Lottery for a week conducting a security audit. Noelle Kruger, a draw manager at Iowa Lottery, was shown the video by a colleague. She instantly knew who it was: Eddie Tipton. Tipton worked at the Multi-State Lottery Association as an information security director. The MUSL worked with many lottery games across the country, one of which involved the Iowa Lottery's Hot Lotto. Tipton was a quiet and well-liked man. He grew up in Texas. Tipton's job involved creating web pages and software. He also installed firewalls and security into the computer system for MUSL. On top of this, he would review security for lottery games in dozens of states across the U.S. Often, he would work 60 hours a week. His role at the MUSL gave him a wage of $100,000 per year. Yet, he was still able to splash out $540,000 on building a new house. Since Tipton lived by himself, many people questioned how he could afford to build such a home. Tipton would tell them that he was building the house in order to attract a future wife and children. Ed Stefan was the chief informant officer at MUSCL. He couldn't believe it was Tipton when he saw the footage. The two were close friends. They bought land together and built adjacent houses. Jason Marr was another close friend of Tipton's. The two shared a passion for computers. Tipton even helped Marr secure a job at the MUSL. While Marr was shocked when he saw the footage, he needed to be sure. He isolated the audio from the CCTV footage and improved the quality of the audio. He then took footage from his own security cameras at his house of Tipton. He then compared the audio of the two files. The sound waves matched, but Marr wasn't done there. He went to the shop that was in the footage. He measured the dimensions of the floor tiles. He used this as a guide when measuring the proportions of the man. The measurement matched with Tipton's. Marr stated, quote, "When the FBI guys came in, I wanted to be able to tell them that it wasn't Eddie. Once I did this, it was like, well, it's Eddie," unquote. Once the police got wind of Tipton being recognized as the mystery man, they went to interview him. Tipton claimed he wasn't in Iowa when the ticket was bought. They asked him about people he knew in Texas. He mentioned his family, but didn't bring up Robert Rhodes. The police investigated further. They discovered in his phone records that Tipton was in Iowa on the night in question. He spoke to Rhodes on the phone for 71 minutes. The police also realized that Tipton and Rhodes were best friends and would go on vacations together. Tipton also worked at Rhodes' company for several years. Marr then told the police that Tipton always had an interest in software that deletes itself once it had completed its designated task. The police were sure they had their man, but they couldn't prove that the self-deleting software was used or even how Tipton did it exactly. There was no evidence on the lottery's hard drives as they had been wiped out, but they charged Tipton anyway. A lot of the evidence could be interpreted as circumstantial. Rob Sand was the assistant attorney general that was on the prosecution team. Due to his work, he managed to convince the jury that Tipton was guilty on July 20th, 2015. Tipton was sentenced to 10 years in prison. However, Tipton's team filed an appeal. Tipton was free on bond until the appeal's conclusion. While Sand believed he had the right person, something was off. Tipton's legal team had requested a quick 90-day trial. This vastly cut down the amount of investigation the prosecution could do. They received an anonymous tip that Tipton's brother Tommy had won the lottery about 10 years ago. Tommy won nearly $570,000 in the Colorado lottery. Shortly after, Tommy contacted his friend Tom Bargas. Bargas owned a number of stalls that sold fireworks. Twice a year, he would handle huge amounts of cash. Tommy wanted to trade his unused $500,000 bills for Bargas's used crumbled bills. Bargas knew he couldn't afford that money on his wage. Bargas was certain something dodgy was going on. No one trades new bills for old ones for no reason. Bargas then told the FBI, who believed Tommy was involved in corruption. They investigated Tommy, but nothing came of it. This tip spurred the FBI and Sands on to examine other lottery wins. On December 29, 2007, a public limited company won almost $784,000 in the Wisconsin lottery. The company was owned by Robert Rhodes. On closer inspection, the FBI saw that the company had paid a hefty sum to Tipton shortly after the win. On November 23, 2011, Kyle Kahn claimed the prize of $1.2 million in the Oklahoma lottery. He wasn't a regular lottery player and chose the numbers on the ticket rather than have them randomly generated. Sand examined Tipton's phone records. Sure enough, there was Kahn's number. Sand also found that two smaller winners of almost $15,500 in Kansas lottery knew Tipton: Amy Warwick and Christopher McCloskey. Warwick had gone on one date with Tipton, but they remained as good friends. Warwick told Sand that Tipton asked her to collect the money on his behalf. Due to his work, he couldn't participate in the lottery. Sand realized that some of the winners didn't know that they were doing anything wrong. In Wisconsin, investigators found the random number generator computers used to make the lottery draws during 2007. The hard drives hadn't been wiped on these. Sean McLidden was tasked by Sand with examining the computers. McLidden discovered a piece of code that wasn't meant to be there. It's believed Tipton used a rootkit to install the code onto the computers. The new code didn't vastly change the computer's ability to choose numbers, otherwise the code would have been easy to spot. But the new code subtly changed it. On certain dates, the code would vastly reduce the option of numbers the computer could pick from. The dates were May 27th, November 22nd, and December 23rd. Tipton would then be able to calculate the most likely numbers that the computer would select. The odds of winning dropped from 1 in 11 million to 1 in a few hundred. Once the adapted code was approved, it was copied into other RGN computers and shipped across the country for other lotteries. Tipton would then give his friends and family a list of likely numbers in order to win prizes. He would then receive a small percentage in return. According to Tipton's lawyer, the prize came out to $2.2 million, yet Tipton only received $350,000. Tipton saw himself as a Robin Hood figure, helping out those in need. However, since Tipton and his brother owned a lot of real estate, the prosecution doubted this claim. The prosecution cut a deal with Tipton as long as he pled guilty and told them everything about his scheme. In January 2017, Rhodes received a 6-month house arrest sentence and a fine. In March 2017, Tipton was sentenced to 25 years in prison. In 2019, Terry Rich and journalist Perry Beeman co-wrote the book The 80 Billion Gamble, the inside story of how a suspicious ticket, hot dogs, and Bigfoot foiled the biggest lottery fraud in U.S. history. In the book, they told the story of Tipton's scam in detail. On top of the Tipton saga, Larry Dawson attempted to sue the MUSL for incompetency in 2016. He won $9 million during May of 2011 in the Iowa lottery. He claimed that his amount should be $25.5 million, as Tipton's rigged game prior lowered his prize amount. And that's it. Was Eddie Tipton helping out his loved ones, or was he doing the scam to line his own pockets? Pop your thoughts below. If you liked this video, please like and share it.